Hello and welcome to another game development video for Hierarchy. This week I'm going to be talking about some updates I've made over the last week. They include the status effects implementation, the beginning of squad movement, some steering with evasion mainly, and also some, what else have I done? Oh yes, ranged attacks by default. So made a bit of progress, and if we just have a look around the scene as always, made a couple of changes. This is a quite impromptu change over here. This cube is literally there just to demonstrate the evasion steering. So we'll start with that, but actually no, we won't start with that. We'll start with the status effects. So I've been working on a quite a generic system to implement status effects with, be it buff, debuff, or whatever. And what better to start with than to have a healing status effect. So I've bound it to the R key on my keyboard just because that's usually the AoE power, but I've removed that for now simply to show this. And what it will do is, when activated, if we just go and have a look at, very simple in this instance, it just goes about, and this is for something else, don't worry about that, but it has a duration, an update, and all this, and you can see it inherits buff, and that comes from status effect. And eventually what it'll be is that if we come off of the expiration, the draw rect will be used to draw above your health bar, so you can see all of the status effects are active, as well as small ones for enemies if you click them and select them. So for now what we'll do is we'll start the game, and I'll pause it, and you'll see that our protagonist has started with, by unpause and repause, started with low health, and as you can see he's over here, so let's just quickly move this around, and we'll start here. Now if I unpause, his health regen is pretty slow, but if I go and press R, there it comes, and a nice green effect to accompany the regeneration effect. And it doesn't last very long, and the effect expires. When it's done, it's done. It didn't take much power, but obviously this is OP at the moment, but it will be balanced near the time, but simply for the fact of demonstration, that's how it is. So we'll do that one more time so you can see. Start them off just walking around. Let's do some healing. Very nice. And back to nearly full health for small cost. So yeah, if we restart that now. So they're the effects, and obviously a healing one is just one of many, but I intend to implement them across powers as well as on moves, so perhaps a chance of poisoning an enemy with a certain weapon, or environmental areas, perhaps a jungle will increase vision, or decrease vision even, or perhaps increase your chance of being infected with something, as after all it is a survival game. Although the environment is pretty bland right now, that'll be addressed in the future, fear not, this is simply for testing. So moving on from there, we also have, I've also been working on steering. Been looking into some steering mechanics and how it works. Fortunately, using A star, there is an evade path that you can use, or A star path dot evasion, or something along that line. Some nice class which is happily ready to be used. Flee path, that's the one, flee path. So I've gone and inherited my base AI movement and extended it into timid AI movement, which will obviously be renamed shortly to evasion AI movement. But I've put that on these cylinders over here to replicate and implement the use of the evasion steering. So what I want to do in the game is, obviously there's going to be players and monsters and lots of units which you'll attack to go up the hierarchy, but early on in the game you're going to be pretty weak, so what better to prey on than the local wildlife. And one of the key wildlife that I want to implement, which will couple with this behaviour, are deer. And if you have a herd of deer just chilling about, grazing, and a player or perhaps another more malicious entity comes along, they are going to run away, and they're just going to try and avoid you and get away as far as they can. So that is why I want to have this mechanic in there, so they can just, you know, wander around idle, so to speak, and then the minute somebody comes over, run. So obviously I don't have a deer model. I did look for one, a nice one anyway, but that again comes down under cosmetics, so it's not that important. So what we'll do now is we'll start, and as the player we'll watch them normally, these ones, and you can see where they go. They're quite slow, so that's not going to be that representative of a deer, but we'll keep it at that, and if I don't like how it looks, we'll increase the speed, but we'll just watch them normally. So the right screen is obviously the game, left is the scene. So you're not supposed to see them just wandering about, and they'll do whatever they want, and they'll wait a small amount of time. You can imagine, use your imagination, these small deer just walking about, bits of grass. I'm a bit bored, this bit of grass could go somewhere else. And they just carry on doing that over an amount of time. So let's go and throw something else in the mix now. Let's throw a player into the mix. And you can see they can't see me yet. But the minute I walk around this corner, oh my god, look, there's a player there, everybody run. And you can see I can just herd them out of here. Try and get them to go where they're going. And they'll separate and they'll get split up like this. And I can go and chase this one down. At this point obviously I could go and kill him. I'm just going to leave him and let him continue to wander, and I'll go after his buddies who have seen me. They've got a high vision range. Now obviously if they weren't as slow as this and they were more realistically set for speed, they would be gone. I wouldn't even know they were there because they're not in my vision. I am considering redoing the camera, however that is it's probably something for next week. But yeah, that is the basics of the Evasion. It's very simple. It goes based off of where you are. A vision, which is done by a line cast obviously, as well as nearby units, but because they're the same type as well, you notice that they didn't run away when they were near each other. But the minute I became part of the loop, then they did. Oh, you didn't expect me to be on this side, did you? So yeah, that's that. If we can stop that now because that's all we needed to see of those. Another thing I've been working on, like I said earlier, is, oh actually I didn't even mention it, but I've been working on the ranged default attack. Now if I turn on my spawn zone, which is classic over here, this small sphere, and we'll just start the game again, spawn a couple of units, and then I'll disable it mid-game. Let's heal up whilst we're here. We've got a couple of guys there now, so we'll stop that. And we'll go over there. And by the way, the green paths are represented by the Seeker. I've turned those on in my gizmos, so I can turn those off, but I keep it here just for the sake of it. So he's obviously aware of me now, and as you've seen before, my default attack would require me to go a lot closer, but this red debug line is to represent my range. So if I go over here, I can see one attack, and there we go. A lot faster. It uses the same arrows what you've seen before, but that is the classic ranged attack. Works pretty well. Although these are static enemies, it does lock on, it has a homing effect to it. Let's just see if we can catch that experience. There we go. You can also use it in conjunction with other moves. But it works classic, very similar to the way the default attack worked. Let's see if I can chase him down and finish him off. There we go, and get some experience. Everyone's a winner. But yeah, that's been implemented now, and although it does it the same, I've made it slightly faster. And again, like I said, if there was a unit running away, it would home onto them. Simply because that is how they should work in a lot of RPGs and other games where there's a ranged attack. You rarely can escape it unless it's a slow moving projectile, at which point if you've got an escape mechanism or you're faster, there is that chance you can get away. So that's that. Now moving on from these guys, I've also been working on squad movement. It's pretty basic at the moment, but I've been trying to get it to a stage where a squad leader can delegate and give out orders to squad members, and in addition to that they can move together, they can wait around in an area and then move off again, and hopefully, although I don't have any waypoints set up, I just need to confirm, but I do believe the waypoint system will work as well, so the squad member will just follow the leader and the leader will follow the waypoints around. The only thing I need to do now is to get it 100% working with a squad leader notifying the squad of an enemy, and a squad member who may have seen an enemy perhaps behind them, notifying the squad, say look, I've found a guy, he's back there, and then they can all go and investigate. So for now, I'll start it off and you can see them. I haven't set them to walk very far, but they should, if we go to the leader, and assuming they don't walk in front of each other, because it is quite basic at the moment, let's just go with it, see how it goes. So you can see the leader. Let me just walk this way as well. And then when he reaches his destination, he'll wait 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, choose somewhere else to go, and they will go off there. These two guys are chosen the same place, which is completely unhelpful. Perhaps I should get rid of this squad member at the front. He looks like he's causing some trouble. See you later. 4 seconds this time, as you can see in the debug log, I'm just outputting the amount of time he's chosen to wait. Oh, and clearly something has gone a little bit awry, getting a null reference. Oh, that's because I've gone and deleted the squad member, silly me. Let's go and start from the beginning, just get rid of these two. There we go. Yeah, obviously, as you can imagine, deleting squad members illegally through the hierarchy isn't necessarily the best way to do it on the game running. However, we keep an eye on the leader. When he gets to his location, he waits 2 seconds as output there, and then they walk off again. It's looking pretty buggy because these guys, but I've recently redone the colliders, so I imagine that's what's screwing up. But yeah, they get to their location, they wait, and then once they're there, if we just, this one here is just causing all sorts of trouble. Let's move out the way. Another 2 seconds. But yeah, and they'll continue on their little paths, which is pretty cool. And like, he's obviously going somewhere still, but this guy will now choose somewhere else. Oh, 5 seconds they're waiting. But yeah, it'll work better once. Oh gosh, there's a lot of units on the screen. Should probably deal with these. Let's just finish off. Yeah, that's wicked. Let's get that and go. Make our way off to throw that. Very nice. But yeah, that's pretty much what I meant with the squad movement. Although it's very basic at the moment, I want to have those features that I mentioned earlier, as well as some perhaps optional movement around investigating areas there if a player is bleeding. I want to have trails set down of blood, although the blood will just be cosmetic, but I'm thinking about leaving a trail of game objects, because ultimately this is going to build up to a key component of the game, which will be a hunter. There'll be an AI which spawns probably mid to late game, and it's going to just hunt down the players, and you're going to want to avoid it when you first see it, because you're going to be too weak to handle it. But it will eventually get to a state where you can take it down and get good experience reward. But early game, it's going to be like a minor tool. It's probably the best way to give it as an example. So these are the main things that I've been working on recently, and going forward from here, I'm looking into cosmetics, and obviously because the game is at a stage now where, okay, you can play it basically. It's got a lot of moves and a lot of the main architecture that I want to have there. It's under constant refactor as I try to improve areas that I've found better methods of doing things for. You may have noticed there that when the units came to low health, the behaviours to run away weren't necessarily kicking in correctly. That is because I've gone into the movement section of the code base and started altering that again to handle it differently. But it's the new system's better, but obviously that area needs to be re-looked at because I appear to have given it the wrong code. But yeah, moving forward from here, it's cosmetics, and I've looked into environment packs, trees, 3D models, some good camera angles, and a number of assets that I can use for the world. But prior to getting all of that, as it's a small investment, it's going to be getting a level designer. Now I could obviously dive into the 3D modelling myself, but I'd rather have someone that's proficient in it do it and bring them on board. So if you are that person, get in contact, check out the Unity3D page, leave a comment, send me a message, perhaps comment here. I'm looking for a level designer to help me build this world. I've already laid out some plans on what I want it to look like, perhaps in more of a topographical view, and I've got some ideas in my head, but the ideas are get the level set, lay out some cosmetics, trees, whatever, move forward, get more models in there so we don't have to keep using primitives or the trusty minebot which is used in the sample project. And then of course work on the protagonist. Although Mr. Muscleman has been of great use in these developing times, I want to start getting some models done for what we're going to have the players look like. And I'm hoping to make some big progress maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I'll see you again then. So thanks again for watching. Remember to share this video, tweet, share it on whatever network you're a big fan of. Maybe subscribe, and definitely check out the Unity3D page, because that's probably where the majority of news and pictures go up. So thanks again, and see you soon.